What the hell did I do to deserve having to play this? Well, I guess I didn't really have to play it, so I voluntarily chose to. But I'm really surprised that no one has badgered me on it yet, considering I've been doing this Sonic September thing for a few years now. So before I start getting harassed, I present to you this travesty of a game known as Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow the Hedgehog is well known for being a shitty game. In fact, I think it was one of the most talked about until Sonic 2006 was released. At times, I honestly felt that Shadow was worse. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start as I normally do with the story. Shadow tries to rely a lot on the plot to keep the game moving forward. You find out right away that he has amnesia. Yeah, once again, it's one of those games. So Shadow takes to the world to hunt down any information to tell him who he is. This involves the Chaos Emeralds, as their power helps to shine the light on who Shadow really is. I can't really get too much more into that because one of the main mechanics of the game, the light and dark sides. Here's how it works. Shadow can do different things in each mission that fills up one of two bars on the top of the screen. If you defeat the Black Arms alien race, you'll increase your light side bar. If you defeat Gun Soldiers, who is part of the organizations that Shadow is with, the dark side will rise. So what happens when each of these is maxed out? It depends on the bar. When you max out the light side, you'll jump forward in a blast of speed, eliminating all enemies you run into and basically allowing you to bypass a good chunk of the stage without any real effort. There's a catch to that, which I'll get to momentarily. As for the dark side, if you manage to fill that up, you'll just get a screen clearing attack. Feels kind of lackluster, but then again, it feels like it's much easier to fill up the dark meter than the light. There's another feature that rides on this whole morality thing, the level structures themselves. Most stages have up to 3 mission objectives. One is the dark one light, and one is considered normal, or the unsighted mission. Dark missions usually involve you following an objective given by Robotnik or the leader of the alien race, Black Doom. The light ones involve either the Gun Squad or the typical hero characters like Sonic and Tails. You will see cameos from nearly all characters in the Sonic franchise, usually as a cohort during a single level. Sometimes they'll also accompany you during the boss battles. But anyway, which objective you complete determines what stage you play next, or at least what kind of scenes you'll review in between. So all depending on which missions you complete in your playthrough, you'll get a different ending. And there's a total of 11 endings. The final one can only be viewed when you view all 10 of the previous ones. But here's the thing, to my knowledge, there's no stage select. That means that in order to play through the whole game, you have to play the game over and over, repeating the same stages, and simply choosing different objectives. Bit repetitive in my opinion, and I really didn't have the motivation to try for everything. In addition, in each stage, you can actively choose which objective you want to complete. Once you complete one of them though, regardless on whether it's the one you chose to chase or not, the level ends. This means that if you're, say, hunting down a collectible or something, but reach the end of the stage, well, that's going to be the one you clear. This can result in many unnecessary repeats through the stages until you memorize everything. And as for that light side boost, yeah, this makes completing some of the missions impossible because you might blast by what you're trying to do. In addition, the game tends to automatically change your active objective if you manage to trip one of the requirements of it. So if you're really trying to do a specific objective, you'll need to keep bringing up the menu to change it yourself. This wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but the stages aren't too interesting. And even worse, the gameplay mechanics aren't terribly interesting either. Sure, there was a lot of potential here. Shadow was an edgy Sonic, trying to appeal to the more mature audiences. He didn't just jump into enemies, he could freaking carry firearms. Sweet, but not. Let me skip the crap and talk about Shadow's attacks. He has a simple hand-to-hand fighting style. This isn't so bad when fighting your enemies. You can pick up weapons and use those in melee combat, but these will break in typical brawler fashion after a specified number of uses. As for the gunfights, lackluster. There's a large selection of firearms that you can pick up. Some of them are fairly interesting in their own rights, others are pretty lame. But that's not the main problem. Instead, there is no real way to aim your guns. And the auto aim that does exist doesn't do a very good job. It essentially made me skip trying to use the guns in the game. Finally, there's a homing attack you can attempt to use. I say attempt because it is incredibly difficult to properly aim it. Again, the game tries to automatically set you up on the closest enemy, but it's way too easy to actually miss the attack and set yourself up for harm, or in other cases, on one-way trip down to the side of a level to your doom. I've died many times due to this attack, yet it's still one of the best ways to take down foes. I guess it's worth the risk. Here's what I would consider to be the biggest problem with Shadow the Hedgehog: the controls. Okay, not really the controls themselves. They work. It's more in how Shadow is controlled. He moves quickly but loosely. There's no speed ramp up. He just goes from 0 to 100 in a split second. This wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but in this game, the levels are designed in ways that this isn't the best way to go. There's no way to be precise in this game, regardless of what you're trying to do. This includes attacking, jumping, hell, even collecting rings is a frickin' chore. To bring the game down even further, the music, usually a high point in Sonic games, is just repetitive junk. I ended up turning my TV down and just playing Pandora when recording this review. All of these demerits make Shadow the Hedgehog a bland affair. Sure, the light and dark elements should have been fun, and the edgy atmosphere had a lot of potential, but nothing about this game is enjoyable. Oh, and I even forgot to mention that none of the cutscenes are skippable, which is a big no-no in my book. Overall, skip this crap. Although I thought to myself a few times that this game is worse than Sonic 06, because there's no evidence that this game is rushed, I don't think that it is. But it's pretty damn close, with the same stupid flaws. Final score? 3 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.